here with Brendan Allen. First of all, do you like bare knuckle MMA? I mean, this is MMA, right? But it's bare knuckle. We don't see this very often. I know BKFC and boxing is all that, but bare knuckle MMA seems to be, I don't know. I'm looking at it now. It seems to be quite fun.
It's all right, man.
Yeah.
I mean, you have to pay me a lot of money to do bare knuckle. I'm too pretty. But
of course.
it would make it easy to choke someone. I like to choke people, so it's cool, man. It's cool to come out here and watch. Got some boys fighting here, so yeah, it's cool. It's cool.
Yeah, I would assume for a grappler, right? Like you would prefer no gloves, right?
Yeah, I mean, but it's just the fact of like bare knuckle boxing or MMA, like one or two punches and you're busted open or swollen up. So it's like you gotta pay me a lot of money to do that. Like, I mean, don't get me wrong. A UFC glove is very packed. They're very hard, harder than people think. So it's just different. I don't know how to, bone on bone versus a tiny little hard padding is still a different story. But I guess you adapt, and it's still fighting at the end of the day.
And I gotta ask you, and I don't mean to disrespect you or anything, but when you fought Muniz and you're like, oh, this is to prove who's the best grappler is, I'm gonna go submit him. You know, Muniz was in such a run that you kind of go, okay, maybe his mind game's right. He'll say that, and then he'll go and strike with him. But you went out there and you dealt with business, and I mean, it was super, super impressive. A lot of people were taken away by your performance. Talk to me about going into the ground and actually submitting Muniz, because that is a tough thing to do, right? And to some people, very dangerous and maybe scary.
Yeah, man, I'm dangerous everywhere too. I can strike, I can wrestle, I can do it all. I can do it all, and I definitely feel my ground can go against anyone in the world. So I'm not scared to go anywhere with anyone. We can do whatever. You know, it was obviously I knew what he was good at, and I knew what I had to watch out for. But ultimately, I wasn't nervous, or I mean, I was nervous going into the fight, just like everyone. But to go to the ground, you know, it's just another fight. I've done so many jiu-jitsu competitions with so many high-level guys, especially growing up. So it's nothing different. But I definitely feel my MMA jiu-jitsu is better than anyone in the world. So I'm down to gamble there with anyone.
And like I said, I mean, I was super impressed, and I know I wasn't alone. A lot of people were taken away by that performance. It just shows the levels of your game. Do you feel like the perception of the MMA community towards you changed vastly with that result?
I don't know, man. People still talk a lot of shit, so it is what it is.
People talk shit after that?
Yeah, man. People talk shit every time. No matter how good, no matter how bad, everyone's going to talk shit. Everyone's going to use the fight from 2-3 years ago to talk shit. Like, the guy you saw 2-3 years ago, for me at least, ain't the same guy you're going to see now. It's not the same guy you're seeing now. Like, I figured out what was going on with me to put the full me in the cage, or at least 80% of me in the cage. Like, there's still a lot more I show every fight, and I'm going to continue to show, and I'm going to continue to improve until I have gold around my waist. And it's coming. I finally feel it. It's like right there. So I'm not focused on that, though. I'm more focused each individual fight, and I'm focused on my journey. That's all that matters at the end of the day, and that's what I've been doing here recently, is just focus on my journey. I don't care what anyone else is doing. Just doing what I need to do to be the best me.
Yeah. And now you are returning in June. You're taking on Blindao Silva. What do you think about that matchup? Is that sort of a good progression after Muniz? Are you happy with that opponent?
No. Honestly, I don't think he deserves the spot, but hey, man, this is where you get opportunities, and you got to take full advantage. So I know he's coming to take full advantage of the opportunity, but I'm not looking past him, and he's the man that's got to get the business. So I'm going to be fully ready. We still have, it got pushed. I was supposed to fight June 3rd. Now it's the 24th, so we got an extra 3 weeks, which is good because I was dealing with some stuff going with my body anyway. It just wasn't acting correctly. So, but I was still going to fight with it. So it went from a 5-round to a 3-round. So I was already in shape, or getting super prepared for 5 rounds. So 3 rounds is going to be nothing, and I can strike with him. I can definitely wrestle with him, and I can definitely go to the ground with him. But who knows? I said I'd beat Muniz at his own game, so I'm going to go out there and beat Bruno at his own game. And anywhere that I have to go, I'm going to beat him there too.
Did you get offered any other names, or was that just the only guy? Because it seems like you weren't, all that happy with the matchup.
No, they threw. Bruno was the very first name we got thrown out there. They offered me a few others names, but one was my good friend, so I wasn't going to fight my friend. And so there was no one else above me left to fight. Everyone else was matched. So Bruno was really the only name we were given. We had an option if we waited, but we had already basically finalized our fight before that fight even occurred. So, yeah, Bruno was basically the only guy.
Yeah. I guess on an ideal scenario, what kind of opponent or what kind of name were you expecting next?
My goal is to go out there and beat Bruno, and I expect Whittaker to beat up Dricus, and then I'm going to get Dricus next. That's kind of where I sit. I mean, he'd still be at number 6, so I think I'm right there in the top 5. He's close at number 6, so that's what it looks realistic for me to go out here, beat Bruno, and then fight Dricus at the end of the year and beat the shit out of him too.
Yeah, and let's talk about the middleweight division. So I guess no need to ask you for a prediction between Whittaker and Dricus. You just gave us that. But are you confident that Whittaker is going to get it done?
I'm pretty confident. Like, don't get me wrong. I think Dricus is the luckiest fighter in the UFC. Yeah. Like, his first 2 fights, he was getting his ass kicked, and he just pulled out a shot. So, yeah, I think he's the luckiest guy. So he might make me eat my words and just get 1 shot and drop him. But honestly, I really don't think that's going to happen. I think Whittaker's too good all around, fought some of the best guys in the whole world. So, and he's so tricky to figure out. And I don't think he's smart. I don't think Dricus is smart enough to be able to figure that out. And I don't think he has the attributes to beat him. So, yeah, I think Whittaker all day.
Yeah, for sure. And why Dricus? Is it just the ranking, or is there something else that interests you in that matchup?
I think I beat him everywhere. Like, obviously, he knocks guys out, so he's got power, but everyone can knock anyone out. Anyone can knock anyone out. So that doesn't scare me. Bruno can walk out there and knock me out, you know? So I'm not scared. I fought heavy hitters before, but I just don't like the way he carries himself. I think I don't know. There's a lot of things I've heard behind the scenes about him, too, because he used to train at my gym, and a lot of my friends know him. So I just don't like him. I've been around him. He's come to lunch with us before and tries to crack jokes, but he's not funny. Like, I just don't like him. I don't like the way he carries himself. He brings up, like, he talks to other guys about, like, oh, I'm the real African and this and that. Bro, I don't give a fuck about Africa. Like, no offense, like, to people that live there. I'm American. I'm proud of my country. So, like, but I'm not gonna throw it at people. Like, I fight a Brazilian. I'm American. Like, I don't know. I just don't like the way he carries himself at the end of the day.
Yeah, for sure. And a lot of people seem to be kind of puzzled about the UFC matchmaking. Like, you know, why didn't he maybe fight for the title against Israel Adesanya, right? There seems to be a degree of bad blood, right? But they went again and made the Whittaker fight, which leaves the question. Whittaker is obviously super skilled, former champion, but has lost twice already to Adesanya. Do you feel like maybe there's room there for him to beat Adesanya, or you just feel like that guy has Whittaker's number at this point?
No, I think Whittaker could go out there and win. Don't get me wrong, Matt. I don't like Izzy, like, either, like, as a person. I've heard a lot of bad things about him, and he's extremely arrogant, but I don't know if that's his persona, whatever that is, it's on him. As a fighter, he is a really, really good fighter. He's a great champion. So I have nothing but respect for him as a fighter. But I think, like, they just want new blood. You know, that's the only reason Dricus is in there, because, let's be honest, who has he fought? Besides DB, Derek Brunson, who's my really good friend, and Derek was beating his ass the first round. So who has he fought? He fought a wash-up Darren Till, who's only won 1 fight, I think at 85. And he beat Darren up the first and got his ass kicked the second and was getting beat up in the third. Brad Tavares was beating him up in the first, come back and won the next 2 rounds, was getting beat up by Marcus Perez, was getting beat up by Trevin Giles. So, like, who has he fought? And I don't know. They just need new blood. And I think that's where I fit into there. I'm new blood. I'm good. I've put in my time. I fought the best guys I could get. I've only had 2 setbacks that were from 1 week notice fights, and I still wasn't even myself when I fought them. So it is what it is. But new blood.
I know you're trying to enjoy the fight, so one last question. 4-fight win streak, right? If I'm not mistaken, right? Yeah. I mean, for 3 or 4, you're looking good. How far do you think you are from a title? Like, do you let yourself envision a path to the title, and if so, how far do you think that is?
Yeah, I definitely like to plan my way, but I'm focused on what I need to focus. But I'm always planning. So, I mean, for me, it's go beat Bruno. And don't get me wrong, this was kind of the same thing for Jack in a way. But go beat Bruno, fight Dricus, beat Dricus. He's just fighting for a title eliminator. That's put me at 5 or 6 when I finish him, because I'm going to finish him. And now I'm in top 5. So who do I fight after that? It's either I fight 1 more time or I fight the champion. So, 2 or 3 more, and hopefully next year I'll be a champion.
All right, man. Well, I appreciate the time. Enjoy the fights, and can't wait to see your fight against Bruno.
Thank you, bro. I appreciate it.